Hey guys, and welcome back to the Political Whiz, where you will find all the whiz on politics and history. And today we will be taking a deeper look into the top 10 potential running mates for the Democratic nominee, Joe Biden. His list of running mates includes all females with strong backgrounds and with each of them having its own advantages and disadvantages. Without further ado, let's look into each of the contenders' profiles. The first person is Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Gretchen Whitmer served in the Michigan House of Representatives for 5 years from 2001 to 2006. She then served as a member of the Michigan State Senate for 9 years from 2006 to 2015 and served as the minority leader of the chamber for 4 years from 2011 to 2015. She was then elected as the governor of Michigan in 2018 and served as the minority leader of the chamber for 4 years from 2011 to 2015. She was then elected as the governor of Michigan in 2018. She recently came to national attention due to her response to the COVID-19 pandemic that has hit her home state. In response to this, she enforced a stay-home order in an attempt to stop the spread of the virus. Because of this, she has faced a lot of backlash from right-wing groups and activists, and her home state saw the most fiercest protests and backlash to her response to the virus. According to the Morning Consult, she had an approval rating of 42% with 39% of her constituents disapproving of her. She was named as a possibility for being Biden's running mate for her handling of a disaster, and which is one of the qualities that the Democratic Party is looking in for a vice president. Moving on to our second contender, Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin. Tammy Baldwin served as a member of the Wisconsin State Assembly for 6 years from 1993 to 1999. She was elected as a congresswoman from the 2nd District of Wisconsin in 1998, serving from 1999 to 2013. She is now the incumbent senator from the state of Wisconsin, having been elected in 2012. She is known as the first woman elected to Congress from the state of Wisconsin, as well as the first woman from Wisconsin elected to the United States Senate. It should be noted that she is from what is known as the most competitive state in the 2020 presidential election the Democrats aim to win. According to the Morning Consult, she has an approval rating of 46% to 37% of her constituents disapproving of her. And now to our third contender is Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar served as the Hennepin County Attorney for 8 years from 1999 to 2007. She was elected to the Senate in 2006 and ever since has been re-elected twice to the Senate and is the incumbent senator from the state of Minnesota, which is another competitive state. She was a candidate in the 2020 elections but dropped out a day before Super Tuesday to endorse Joe Biden for president. Recently, she has come under fire for her years as a county prosecutor for failing to prosecute officers that have used excessive force against minorities after the shooting of George Floyd. According to the Morning Consult, she has an approval rating of 56% to 31% of her constituents disapproving of her, making her the 7th most approved of senators in the United States. Now let's take a look at our fourth contender, Tammy Duckworth. Tammy Duckworth is an Army veteran who served in the Iraq War. While fighting in the Iraq War, the helicopter that she was co-piloting was shot down by rocket grenades by Iraqi insurgents. As a result of this, she lost 2 of her legs and she had her right arm repaired through surgery. She was elected as a congresswoman in 2012 and was elected in 2016 as senator from Illinois, defeating Republican incumbent Mark Kirk. She is the first woman to be elected into Congress with disabilities, the first woman to be elected to the Senate to give birth while being in office, the first Thai American woman, and becoming the second Asian American woman after Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono to be elected to the Senate. According to the Morning Consult, she has an approval rating of 42% to 32% of her constituents disapproving of her. And now our fifth contender is Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren started her career out as a law school professor who specialized in the bankruptcy field. She came to national attention during the 2007-2008 financial crisis. She was the chair of the Congressional Oversight Panel. She was also responsible for establishing the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. She was elected as the senator from the state of Massachusetts in 2012, defeating Republican incumbent Scott Brown. She was also a candidate for the 2020 Democratic primaries, but dropped out after coming in 3rd place in her own home state after Super Tuesday. After Biden became the presumptive nominee, she endorsed him. According to the Morning Consult, she has an approval rating of 50% to 40% of her constituents disapproving of her, making her the 9th most unpopular senator in the United States. Let's now take a look into our 6th contender, Maggie Hassan. Maggie Hassan was first elected into the New Hampshire State Senate in 2004, defeating incumbent Republican Russell Prescott after being defeated by him in 2002. She served in the chamber for 6 years from 2004 to 2010 and served as the chamber's majority leader for 2 years from 2008 to 2010. She was defeated in her re-election to the state Senate in 2010 by Russell Prescott, the same person she defeated 6 years ago. She was then elected as governor of New Hampshire in 2012, serving for 4 years from 2013 to 2017. She was elected to the Senate in 2016 after narrowly defeating Republican incumbent Kelly Ayotte and is now the incumbent senator from New Hampshire. She is the first woman in the United States Senate, along with her colleague Jeanne Shaheen, to serve both as governor and senator. I should also note that her colleague Jeanne Shaheen was a former contender for Biden's running mate, but she declined the offer. According to the Morning Consult, she has an approval rating of 51% to 39% of her constituents disapproving of her. And now moving on to Stacey Abrams, who is going to be our 7th contender. Stacey Abrams served as the member of the Georgia House of Representatives for 10 years from 2007 to 2017. She was the chamber's minority leader for 6 years from 2011 to 2017. She came into national attention in 2018 after being the first African-American woman to run for governor of Georgia and narrowly lost the competitive gubernatorial election in 2018 to Brian Kemp by a margin of 2 points, which itself is a big achievement because although she did not win the election, she lost very narrowly in a traditionally red state. She was also the first African-American woman to deliver her response to the President's State of the Union. She is also a rising star within the Democratic Party. And now moving on to our 8th contender, Val Demings. Val Demings served as the chief of the Orlando Police Department for 4 years from 2007 to 2011. She first ran for Congress in 2012 but was defeated by Republican Daniel Webster. She ran again in 2016 and was elected as Congresswoman from the 10th Congressional District of Florida. She is known for being one of the 7 impeachment prosecutors arguing the case for impeachment of President Trump and is now being considered in the vice presidential selection for Joe Biden. Moving on to Kamala Harris, who is the 9th person on this list. She was first elected as the district attorney for San Francisco, serving for 6 years from 2004 to 2010. She was the attorney general for the state of California, being first elected in 2010 and served for 6 years from 2011 to 2017. She is the incumbent senator of California, having been first elected in 2016. She is the 3rd woman to be elected as the senator from California. She was a candidate of the 2020 Democratic primaries but dropped out before the primaries even began. She endorsed Biden for president. According to the Morning Consult, she has an approval rating of 41% to 36% of her constituents disapproving of her. Finally, our 10th and final contender is Michelle Lujan Grisham. Grisham served as New Mexico's health secretary under then Governor Bill Richardson for 3 years from 2004 to 2007. She was defeated in her first congressional election in 2008. She then served in the Bernalillo County Commission for 2 years from 2010 to 2012. She was then elected from the 1st District of New Mexico. As a congresswoman in 2012, she was then elected as the first Latina woman from the Democratic Party as governor of New Mexico in 2018 and is the incumbent governor of New Mexico. According to the Morning Consult, she has approved 44% to 39% of her constituents disapproving of her. She is known for having a high profile with Latino Americans. Now that we're done looking into each contender's profiles, let's sort each one out for what they will be good for. If you're a part of the Biden campaign and believe that increased African American voter turnout is the key to your victory, then either Kamala Harris, Val Demings, or Stacey Abrams is your best choice. If winning the Midwest is important because it was the key to President Trump's victory in 2016, then your best options are Tammy Duckworth, Amy Klobuchar, Gretchen Whitmer, or Tammy Baldwin. If you believe uniting the moderate and the progressive factions of the Democratic Party and a unified Democratic Party is the key to victory, then Elizabeth Warren is the best option. If increased Latino American voter turnout is important, then Michelle Lujan Grisham is the best fit for this. Or, if you believe that the state of New Hampshire is a must-win state because it is one of the many competitive states in the 2020 presidential elections, then Maggie Hassan is the right choice for you. We are now going to take a look into the top 5 contenders who I believe that the Biden team should not select. I believe that Gretchen Whitmer, although she has done well in response to the disaster in her home state, it resulted in right-wing protests, which is not good for leading a country that is politically polarized and divided. Val Demings, although she has a strong record, is not nationally known and is not from a toss-up district either. Kamala Harris is a rising star in the Democratic Party, but she is not from a competitive state and did not have any achievements in the primaries and even dropped out before the primaries even began. Maggie Hassan has a great record as well, and although she is from a competitive state, New Hampshire only has 4 electoral votes, and you can invest your time somewhere else in states like Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Wisconsin. I think the Biden team should focus on winning New Hampshire, but not to the extent of having a running mate from that state. I believe Amy Klobuchar tops the list of people who should not be considered as Biden's running mate. Klobuchar in the primaries failed to gain support from African Americans and came under fire from the African Americans and progressives for her years as a county prosecutor and failing to prosecute officers that have a history of excessive force and misconduct against people of color. Although from the Midwest and from a competitive state, she should absolutely not be considered as a running mate. Now let's take a look into the top 5 contenders who I believe should be considered as Biden's running mate. Tammy Baldwin has an amazing record and is from the state of Wisconsin, which is going to be the most competitive state in the 2020 presidential elections and is mildly popular in the state. Tammy Duckworth is from the Midwest, whose story is emotionally appealing to all Americans and is a veteran. Elizabeth Warren is a progressive, and nominating her would mean uniting the progressives and the moderates of the Democratic Party. However, she did not make any success in the primaries and won third place in her own home state and isn't popular in any region of the United States. Stacey Abrams is a progressive who has the potential to increase African American voter turnout, and it also increases the chances of the Biden campaign winning the state of Georgia, which is a state in the South and what was once a safe red state, and potentially make it more competitive. However, Biden has stated that he wants a running mate with experience, and Abrams lacks that, which decreases her chances of becoming a running mate. Michelle Lujan Grisham is also good for increasing Latino voter turnout in a competitive state like Arizona, which was once a traditionally red state. I believe of all these 5 contenders, Tammy Duckworth is an excellent option, and the Biden team should select her as the vice presidential nominee. Now, why is that? She is from the Midwest, a competitive region key to Biden's victory. She was an Army veteran and sustained injuries and became disabled, and her story would be emotionally appealing to all Americans. She would also appeal to Americans by explaining that her ancestors from her father's side have served in the United States military as early as the American Revolution. She is also a woman of color and would be the first Asian American vice presidential nominee. And now, I ask you, who do you believe Biden should select as his running mate? Make sure to comment down below. In the meantime, that's all for now. Like, subscribe, and share this video. Turn on the bell icon to be notified whenever I post. Please comment or suggest down below, as this will help me improve my next videos. Follow me on Twitter at political_wiz. Thanks for watching.